All right, so today we're going to deal with negative exponents. And just as a reminder from when we did that big set of notes the other day, when negative exponents happen, you're going to have to make it positive, okay? So if you have a to the negative m, it's living on that main floor. To make it positive, you move the base to the bottom floor and then make the exponent positive, all right? So move it from the numerator to the denominator. If it's negative in the basement or in the denominator, you are going to move it to the main floor or to the numerator and then change that sign to positive. So let's look at a few together. So looking at number 1 here, we have 4v to the negative 4. Now be careful because this 4 up front technically has a positive exponent of 1. So that 4 is going to stay where it's at. But the v to the negative 4, that moves to the bottom, and that exponent becomes positive. And this would be my final answer here. Now let's look at this. We have 10 over k to the negative 2 power. This 10 is going to stay where it's at. The k has a negative 2 in the exponent, so I'm going to move it to the main floor with the 10, and that exponent becomes positive. Now, you can leave it like this. You do not have to put it over 1. So again, if you take everything from the bottom here, it just is that main floor. Nothing else changes. But if you go from the top, the main floor, and move it to the bottom, and there's nothing else left on the main floor, you gotta write that 1. All right, now, here are some rules, because now we're gonna really get into it. We're gonna simplify exponents. This is a guide. Now, this is just for the exponents. This is not for the regular size numbers. Go ahead, pause for a moment and write this down. So first we're gonna deal with our parentheses. Then we gotta make it positive, so that's what we just did up here. Then you're gonna add. First you add on the top of the fraction and then on the bottom of the fraction. And that's if you have a fraction. If there is not a fraction, then just straight up add your exponents, okay? Then after that, you're gonna subtract your exponents. So if you have that fraction bar, that means you subtract your exponents. Here is what I do. I don't really do top minus bottom like how we were talking about. What I do is I go, who's got more, the top or the bottom, and how many more? And that gives me my answer, so I don't have to deal with this last step and check if all the exponents are positive, all right? Now, you can do either one of these two, that's fine, whatever makes you happy. I'm a big fan of this one. It's less work on my part. This is a little bit more work. So I'm gonna focus on this more. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do some basics simplifying. So that's only when we have one variable happening here. So let's look at number 8. So number 8, I don't have any parentheses, but I do have to make it positive exponents, right? Because I have this negative 1 exponent. So what I'm gonna do, everything else that is not negative, have a negative exponent, I'm gonna keep it where it's at. So I got this 2n, I got this 2n to the third, those all stay, but this guy is gonna move to the top and become positive. So I'm gonna have n to the 1, all right? Now, I gotta be careful because I gotta remember the original n that was here has an exponent of 1. Next step is to add on the top of the fraction and on the bottom of the fraction. So on the top of the fraction, I got 2n to the first, n to the second. This becomes 2n to the second power because I can add these two exponents. Over, we have 2n to the third. That doesn't change. There's nothing to add, so there we are. Next up, 2 divided by 2 is 1, so I'm going to put that 1 up top here. All right, but then I have n squared over n to the third. So this is where that who's got more, how many more. So I'm going to do that. These two, who's got more, top or bottom? And then how many more does it have? Okay, so the bottom has more. So I'm gonna write this, the bottom has more, so that's where I'm gonna put my base. And it's got 1 more than the top, so I'm gonna put a 1, all right? Now, if you wanna do top minus bottom, then you could. So here's where it'd be on the side. So, or you could do 2 divided by 2 is 1, n, 2 minus 3, this gives you 1 n to the negative 1, but you still got to make it positive, so this would be 1 over n to the 1, okay? Both ways you get the same answer. This just takes a lot more work. Here, I just asked myself 2 questions. Who's got more? The bottom had more, so that's where I put my base. How many more does it have than that top? It has 1 more than the top. All right, look at number 10 here. I got some negative exponents. I don't have a parenthesis, so let me move all the stuff that is negative. So this 3 is a positive exponent, so it's gonna stay. 2x squared stays where it's at. This x to the negative 4 is gonna move to the bottom, and this x to the negative 3 is also gonna move to the bottom. All right, we moved its locations. I still have this 3 up top because now I'm gonna add my exponents on the top and bottom. So this 3, that's the only thing that's up there. I still got the 2 on the bottom, but now I have x squared, x to the 4th, x to the 3rd, so I can add all these together, and this gives me x, so 2 plus 4 is 6, plus 3 is 9, 3 over 2x to the 9th. Now, I'm technically done. There's no more I can do here. This would be my final answer because I can't do 3 divided by 2. That gives me, so I'm going to take 3 divided by 2. It gives me a decimal, but I want that to be a fraction. So I hit math, enter, and it should say something like that. Hit enter again, and that stays 3 over 2. So I'm going to keep it that way. Let's try a medium problem. So this is where we got 2 variables happening. Okay, I'm gonna work it one at a time, slow and steady. So I don't have any parentheses here. All right, so now I need to move all of my negative exponents. So first, what I'm gonna do is rewrite everything positive. So 2y to the 0 stays where it's at. And then we have 2x to the 4th, that stays where it's at. This guy's gonna move to the top, so we got y to the 4th. We have this 4 here, so times 4 is gonna stay. And then x to the negative 3 and x to the negative 4, those are gonna all move to the top. So y to the 4th. And when I move them to the top, remember I make them positive, okay? If they move locations, then they become positive. You change their sign. I made everything positive. Now I need to deal with the top and then deal with the bottom. So looking at the top, I got 2, and that's the only regular size number, so I got that 2 still. Then I have these y's. I got y to the 0, y to the 4th, and y to the 4th. So let me underline all of these. Add those all up. 0 plus 4 is 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. So I have y to the 8th. Then we have that x to the 3rd, and it's the only thing that's there. So I'm going to rewrite x to the 3rd. It's the only one. At the bottom here, I got 2 regular size numbers. I got 2 and 4. So 2 times 4 gives me 8. And then I have that x. I have x to the 4th, and it's the only one, so it's going to stay how it's going to be. I dealt with my adding. Now I'm going to do my subtracting. We have 2 over 8, so 2 divided by 8. So I'm going to do 2 divided by 8, and that gives me a decimal. So I want to change that into a fraction. I'm going to hit math, enter, enter, and that changed it to fraction of 1 over 4, so I'm going to write 1 over 4. Then I look at my y, so I have y to the 8th. Is there a y and on the bottom? There is not, so that y to the 8th is going to stay how it's going to stay. Then I have x's, so I got x on the top, x on the bottom. So just looking at these x's here, who's got more, the top x's or the bottom x's? The bottom x's have more, so I'm going to put an x down there. How many more is 4 than 3? 1. All right, so this, I gave myself this big, long fraction bar, but I don't need it. This is my final answer. And then we have more examples that I'm sure your teacher will do, and then we have these challenge problems that are up to you to try. This is where you got 3 variables. All right, that's the end of this video. Good luck.